You ever come across something that just makes you stop and think, wait, how is that even possible? Well, today we're diving into one of those moments. We're looking at a truly profound cosmic mystery, a timeline from ancient Hindu texts that seems to mirror the numbers of 21st century science with startling precision. It really challenges our idea of what ancient cultures could have known.
Okay, let's just get right to it. Here is the central puzzle. On the left, we've got a number from ancient Hindu scriptures. 1 Kalpa. That's a single day in the life of the creator god Brahma, and it's said to last 4.32 billion years. Now look at the right. That's the age of our planet Earth, calculated by modern science. It's about 4.54 billion years old. I mean, just look at those numbers. They are incredibly close. We're talking a difference of only about 5%. So the big question is, how? How is that possible?
And this wasn't lost on modern scientists either. The legendary astronomer Carl Sagan, of all people, pointed this out in his famous series Cosmos. He was absolutely fascinated by it. He noted that while most ancient cultures were thinking in terms of thousands of years, the Hindu timeline was operating on a scale of billions of years. He called it a premonition of modern astronomical ideas. And that really sets up our core question here. Was this an unbelievably lucky guess, or was something else going on?
So how in the world did they even build this massive cosmic calendar? To really get where that 4.32 billion year figure comes from, we've got to start smaller, with its basic building blocks, the cosmic ages known as the yugas.
So, the whole system is built on this foundation called the Mahayuga, or the Great Age. One Mahayuga lasts 4.32 million human years. It's broken down into 4 smaller yugas, and you can see they follow this perfect 4:3:1 ratio. The idea is that each yuga represents a gradual decline in dharma. That's kind of like moral and cosmic order. And fun fact, we're supposedly in the very early stages of the last and shortest age, the Kali Yuga. But still, where did that 4.32 million year number even come from?
Well, here's the crucial part. This isn't just random mysticism. The number actually comes from a pretty sophisticated astronomical text called the Surya Siddhanta. This ancient book calculated that it takes 4.32 million years for all the major celestial bodies, the Sun, Moon, and the 5 visible planets, to complete a whole number of orbits and line up again perfectly at the starting point of the zodiac. So it's not a made-up number, it's a calculated astronomical constant. And from there, the last step is surprisingly simple. To get from that astronomical cycle to the cosmic one, you just take the Mahayuga, that's 4.32 million years, and multiply it by 1,000. And boom, there it is, 4.32 billion years, 1 Kalpa, the day of Brahma, the very number that gets us so close to the age of the Earth.
But as cool as that all sounds, we've got to put on our skeptic hats for a second. I mean, a 220 million year gap isn't exactly small change, right? That's longer than the dinosaurs ruled the Earth. So, how do modern critics look at this apparent connection?
All right, so skeptics bring up some really good points. First, this could be a classic case of what's called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. It's like firing a shotgun at the side of a barn and then drawing a target around the one hole that hit. Hindu texts are just filled with all sorts of huge numbers. So it's statistically pretty likely that one of them might just randomly line up with a modern scientific value. Critics also point out that while the Kalpa is close, other figures in the very same texts, like the distances to the planets, are just wildly inaccurate. So from this point of view, it's really hard to tell it apart from just a very, very lucky guess.
But let's put that skepticism on hold for a moment and explore the full scale of this cosmic vision. Because this is where things go from interesting to truly mind-bending. That 4.32 billion year Kalpa? Yeah, that's not the end of the story. It's just one single day in a much, much, much longer timeline.
You see, the whole idea of the end of the world, or pralaya, is incredibly nuanced. It's not just one big event. There's the nitya pralaya, that's the constant decay and change we see every single moment. It's basically what modern physics calls entropy. Then you have the nayamatik pralaya, which is the dissolution of worlds at the end of each kalpa, like a cosmic reset button. The prakichika pralaya is the big one, the end of the entire universe. And finally, there's a personal one, the atyantika pralaya, which is when a soul is finally freed from the whole cycle of rebirth.
So, what happens when you calculate that big one, the total lifespan of the entire universe, the full life of Brahma? You get this number, 311.04 trillion years. This is the Mahakalpa, the full direction of one universal cycle, before everything just dissolves back into its primordial state.
And if you can believe it, even that isn't the true end. This is where the scale just becomes almost impossible to grasp. The entire 311 trillion year lifespan of our universe is described as a single breath of a higher deity, Mahavishnu. When he breathes out, infinite universes are born. When he breathes in, they are all destroyed. It's this powerful, poetic metaphor for an ancient multiverse, where our entire cosmos is just one tiny bubble in an infinite sea.
Okay, this is where our story takes its final and most fascinating turn. Because these ancient ideas of an infinitely repeating, cyclical universe, well, they aren't just stuck in mythology. They are finding these surprising, almost haunting echoes in some of the most advanced, cutting-edge theories of modern cosmology.
So first, think about that ancient idea of a Kalpa, a day of Brahma when the universe exists, followed by a night of Brahma when it dissolves and rests. Now compare that to the Big Bounce theory from physicists like Paul Steinhardt. This theory suggests our universe didn't just start with a single, one-off Big Bang. Instead, it's part of an endless cycle of expansion, collapse, and then bounces into a new universe. The philosophical connection is just undeniable. A cosmos that doesn't just die, but rests before being born all over again.
And this is maybe the most astonishing parallel of all. Remember that metaphor of Vishnu's breath creating and destroying infinite universes one after another? Now look at this. The theory of conformal cyclic cosmology proposed by Nobel laureate Sir Roger Penrose. It suggests that the universe goes through infinite eons. In his model, after trillions of years, when our universe is infinitely expanded, cold, and empty, it loses its sense of scale, and its physics become mathematically identical to the hot, dense Big Bang of the next one. The end of one cycle literally becomes the beginning of the next, forever. It's a breathtaking scientific vision of a universe that is endlessly reborn from its own ashes.
So we're left with this question, aren't we? Are we looking at a profound ancient insight that somehow felt the deep structure of time? Is it all just a staggering cosmic coincidence? Or maybe it's a timeless human idea, this deep need for cycles and rebirth that echoes through philosophy and physics alike. Perhaps the real takeaway isn't about finding a final answer, but realizing that our modern quest to understand the cosmos is just part of a conversation that has been going on for millennia. The search for meaning in the vastness of time, it seems, might just be as cyclical as the universe.